Hey yo guys, how's it going? Tally here, and today I'm really excited to bring you a guest upload to the channel. It's SPANKOYGO with his Dino list, post-ban list, and let me tell you, it is a good one. Spanko's a good friend of the channel. If you're not already subscribed, please go do so. As always, make sure to comment your thoughts down below about the deck profile, subscribe if you're new here, let's dive right in.
Hey yo guys, how's it going? Spanko here. I'm sorry Tally bro, I'm so sorry for that. What is going on YouTube? It's your boy Spanko. Sorry for that little Tally impression, it wasn't very good, I know. That was really kind of cringy, my bad for that. But I'm here today on Tally's channel. Thank you TCG Tally for having me on your channel, bro. I appreciate it. It's always an honor. And today I'm going to be showing off my Dino deck profile. Now it's a little bit of a different take than the other Dino deck profiles that you guys have probably seen. Don't get me wrong, the standard stuff is still just standard, but there's a little few twists and turns that I took that I think push this deck to a next level. But just before we get into today's video, make sure to like the video and subscribe to Tally's channel. You guys can also check me out. He'll probably put the link in the description below, so if you guys want to check out your boy, you guys can check out your boy. We're almost at 4,500 subscribers. Well, I'm at almost 45. He's almost at 25, so actually we should make that happen ASAP. So yeah, you guys should make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. That's really all I gotta say. Sorry for the long intro, but we're off to the video.
So to start things off, we are playing triple Soul Eating Oviraptor. I'm pretty sure this is obvious. Obviously your best normal summon in the deck, so you are playing triple Ovi. One Misk. Now the reason this deck is still viable is because we still have one Misk. Even though obviously one Misk makes the deck a lot more fragile, it's still very playable because you only need one Misk for your combo. And if your combo goes off turn one, you're pretty much just winning the game anyways. We are playing triple Baby Ceratosaurus and one Petite Pteranodon. But we are playing triple Baby because obviously Baby is really good to open with Ovi. It's really good to open with Misk. It's also really good to open with Arco, which we're playing two of. And the only reason I'm playing two Arco instead of three is because I didn't want to open Arco and Ovi together. Like, opening these together is just so bad, and I just really didn't want that to happen ever, so that's why we wanted to play two. We didn't want to max out on this. However, this is still a pretty good normal summon if you do open your Baby, because what you can do is if you open this and Baby and like nothing else, let's say the rest of your cards are hand traps, then you can normal summon this, pop Baby, Baby summon the Oviraptor, Arco obviously searches your pill, and then you can continue your combo from there. So it is still a combo starter. It's still very good as a normal summon. It just sucks when you open it with Ovi, because Ovi is just always a better normal summon, and that's why we're only playing it at two. We're also playing two UCT Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, boss monster for the deck. One of the best boss monsters in the game, to be honest with you. This card's insane. One Pankatops and one Giant Rex. We are playing this standard, I guess, Dino lineup. In terms of the ratio, I don't think any of these need to be changed. Now for the Scrap engine, we are playing two Scrap Raptor, one Scrap Chimera, and one Scrap Golem. I know everyone has cut Scrap Golem, but I do want to explain it a little bit. Now the thing with Scrap Golem is, yes, it's a kind of a brick in your hand. I agree 100%. However, the nice thing about this deck is we're playing 42 cards in the main deck, so it's a little bit less likely to draw the Scrap Golem. But the reason I like to play it more than anything is because it pushes the combo and it pushes the ceiling of this deck so incredibly high. Yes, I understand it's a brick, like I said. I understand that it's not good to draw. However, by the time you get this on your side of the field, you've already like overextended, right? So a lot of people say that this card's like overextension. However, if you already have your Chimera or your Wyvern on the field, your opponent can stop you right there, right? Let's say they imperm your Wyvern. I understand with Misk that all your dinos are protected, aka your Scrap Raptor is protected, but your Scrap Chimera, your Golem, your Wyvern is not protected, right? So it's not like this card makes your deck more fragile. It just, if anything, just boosts the ceiling. And if your opponent does somehow hit the Golem, it doesn't matter. You're going to be using this for like Apollo fodder anyways. So that's why I just think this card is really, really good. And then we are also playing one Nemesis Keystone. This is obviously not part of the Scrap engine. But if you guys don't know what Keystone is, this card is insane. So funny enough, every time I drop this on my opponents, they would always ask what this card does. But it's so insane. So Nemesis Keystone. Target one of your banished monsters except Keystone. Special summon this card from your hand and then shuffle that target into the deck. And then during the end phase, if this card is banished, you can add it back to your hand. Now the reason this is so crazy is because this is also pill fodder for you, and then when you're doing your combo and you use double evolution pill, you banish the Keystone with, like, let's say a Giant Rex. Most of the time you're going to be doing a Giant Rex, and then the Giant Rex is going to special itself back, and the end phase, this is going to come back to your hand, aka it adds resources into your hand. And the reason this is crazy is because if this comes back to your hand, one, it could become fodder for your Tyranno to pop a monster to Book of Moon your opponent's monsters. But more than that is if you end up banishing more cards, which of course in Dino you banish a decent amount, you can Keystone put them back in, and this can be a special summon pretty much every single turn, which is why I think Keystone is insane in this deck. It also helps you make Nat Beast. Now, I am not playing Omega, and I wanted to say that now. Omega is really good because it puts something like your Miscellaneous back into your graveyard. I like the Keystone build a little bit more, One, because this is searchable, but two, even if you open this, obviously this is not a brick in your hand, right? But even if you open this, you can still special summon it, get an extra monster on the board, get an extra link material on the board, which is really, really good. And three, with Omega, is I understand putting Misk in your graveyard is really good. I like to put it back into my deck more, because if, let's say, I have another Oviraptor in my hand, or if like I have a Fossil Dig in my hand, or I draw into a Fossil Dig, or I draw into something like that, then I can search the Misk again. Now I understand Misk in the graveyard is great, but again, just searching the Misk again is just so powerful in my eyes. So that's why I really like the Keystone build. But yeah, if you didn't want to play the Keystone, you don't have to. You can play Omega in your extra deck instead, which I'll get into. But this also lets you go into Naturia Beast. And Nat Beast is insanely powerful this format. Like, shuts out so many decks. Invoke Tradal, shut out. Striker, shut out. Even Salaman Great has a tough time playing through Nat Beast. And this card, being able to make Nat Beast with this card, you usually use the Scrap Raptor and the Keystone, of course. It is just so insane. Next up for hand traps, we are playing just triple Ash and triple Imperm. The reason we're playing only triple Ash, triple Imperm is because we're playing some other cards in the deck that are not standard and they're not usually played in Dino. However, when I played them, I find that they're so powerful, so incredibly like strong, that I decided to play Dino a little bit more of a control build. But yeah, we still are playing 6 hand traps, obviously, because Imperm is just really powerful this format and Ash is just really generic, right? So there's no way you wouldn't play these. Moving on to the spell cards, we are playing triple Lost World, of course, and 1 Terraforming. This card is just so insane in so many matchups. Putting a token on the field is crazy. One time, actually, so this was at the Yu-Gi-Oh! Day, the tournament that I topped. One time I had the token on the field with Lost World, and my opponent tried a Makaba attack into my Pank. But Alistar actually has to discard and target the invoked monster, but because of the token, he forgot that the token stops you from targeting, and actually he forgot that Alistar targets actually itself. So it makes it so that your opponent can't just run over your monsters now with like a Makabo or one of their invoked monsters, because they have an Alistar in hand. So in that case, it's really good. Obviously, against just Shadal or Invoked or Striker, it's insane against. Like, Lost World is so strong. So yeah, that's why obviously this card is a 3-0 for sure. We are playing triple Fossil Dig, of course. Now, even though this card is great, don't get me wrong, I do want to say one thing. I do have one complaint, and the thing is, with Misk going to 1, and if you're a Dino player, you know what I mean by this, is you're kind of forced to use the Fossil Dig when you have it in your hand. A lot of the times when Misk was at 3, if you opened Misk plus Ovi, you wouldn't have to use the Fossil Dig because you had full combo anyways. Now, the reason I'm saying that that's kind of a problem is because so many times now, you're forced to start your play off with a Fossil Dig. Let's say you open Ovi plus Fossil Dig and you open nothing else in your hand. You're kind of forced to use a Fossil Dig, and it makes you really susceptible to something like Droll. You obviously would never play it less than 3, but it's just one of those things where the deck is just a little bit more fragile, and that's what I mean by it being more fragile, is kind of you're more reliant on something like Fossil Dig to go off, whereas before, if you just open the miscellaneous, you wouldn't have to search it, and then you could still kind of combo. So yeah, if you're a Dino player, you know what I'm saying by this. It's kind of like a little niche interaction. I'm not saying like Dig is not a good card, but what I'm saying is that it kind of sucks that you're more reliant on this, and then it makes the deck a little bit more fragile, unfortunately. We are playing 1 Call by the Grave, though, of course, for hand traps. This was actually the 42nd card I put in the main deck. It was 41, but then I decided to put this. Just, I don't know, it's really good in a lot of situations. Offensively as well, where if you're going first, your opponent doesn't have a hand trap, you can set this, and then let's say you're going against Striker, you can hit the Ray. You're going against like Tri-Brigade, you can hit one of the Tri-Brigade monsters. It's just so many different situations where Call by the Grave is really, really good. And then obviously you're playing double Evolution Pill, of course. Triple Pot of Prosperity, and now this is where my deck switches up, okay? So Prosperity, of course, is really good in this deck. However, I've said this before, Dino does not need Prosperity. Prosperity is really only good in Dino because it adds you cards after you combo anyways. And what I mean by that is there's so many cards in this deck that'll help you combo. Like Raptor plus Lost World is full combo. Ovi plus Fossil Dig, Ovi plus Baby, Ovi plus Misk. Then you have Baby plus Arco. Like, there's so many different ways to combo in this deck that you actually don't need Prosperity to get to your combos. Why I like to play Prosperity more than anything is because I am main decking triple Solemn Judgment as well as 1 Imperial Order. Now, this is something that not a lot of Dino players do, and I don't see it very often. However, when I did it and in testing, it's insanely powerful. So many times in Dino, when you make a full combo or a full board, I've noticed that the biggest problem is you lose to something like Dark Ruler. You lose to just a lot of cards that can low-key outboard. Something like Forbidden Droplets as well is also really, really good, right? When you have an Imperial Order and Judgment set on top of your combo, you're not losing the game. Like, there's no way you're losing the game, right? Because now there's just too many things for your opponent to interact with. A lot of the times, your end combo is Apollo plus Savage plus Nat Beast plus a Tyranno, right? And that is just so insanely powerful, but 1 Dark Ruler, you lose, right? And so it's kind of one of those situations where when you make that board and then you have one of these set, especially with Prosperity, what I like to do is if Prosperity is in my hand, I will do my full combo, and then at the end of my combo, or let's say my opponent starts to stop me midway through my combo, whatever the situation is, but it's pretty much always after my combo's already started, then at the end I will prosperity and then try to dig for one of these. And then if I dig and I get into an order or a judgment, the board is unbreakable. So many times my opponents look at my board and they're like, oh, like maybe we could break this, and then if I prosperity into an order and flip an order, they can't play. Or flip a judgment. Like if I have a judgment set, they're like, okay, now I just can't play through a judgment, right? I guess I'll just do this to see if I can draw anything. I'll have prosperity here. Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay. I'm gonna set a card.
Oh, weird.
I wonder what it could be.
Yeah, no.
And then, yeah, I will pass. Yeah, I'll just go stand by phase. Activate the order.
We'll change Infirm,
Oh, target?
ECT.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Chain Droplets,
Ooh.
costing Infirm,
Sure.
and Zeta.
Okay, so what are your targets?
Targets being Appaloosa and Savage.
Okay, that's fine. So these are negated then.
To be honest, let's go game 2. Yeah, the order is pretty impressive.
So that's why I like to play this. It's a little bit unorthodox. It's more control deck because a lot of the times where if you know you're going to be going up against certain matchups, sometimes you don't do the full board. Sometimes you don't need to do the Apollo, Savage, Nat Beast, all that stuff. Sometimes you can just end on like an IP plus a Dolka, and that's insanely strong. But imagine ending on an IP plus a Dolka plus an Order. Like you're just winning. So that's why I'm a really big fan of playing these trap cards in the main deck, especially with prosperity. Now, I will say this for all the budget players or anyone who doesn't have prosperities and doesn't want to play like prosperities. Let me say this to you. You can cut the prosperities and cut the judgments and just play more hand traps. Okay, I just wanted to give you guys that as a suggestion. You can play more hand traps. Now, if you guys want to see the combo video that I was talking about, you guys can check that out on my channel. I'm sure Tally will put a link to it in the description below. But yeah, this is just what I wanted to explain, that prosperity makes the trap cards really good. But again, if you don't have prosperity, I don't recommend playing the traps because then you're kind of reliant on drawing into them, whereas prosperity kind of digs for them later. So that's kind of why I don't like playing the traps if you're not playing prosperity. Just cut these, and play hand traps instead. Off to the extra deck, we are playing one Naturia Beast. This card is so insane in this format, and you can make it so easily in this deck with the Keystone. So Nat Beast is so strong. I really like playing this card. One Savage Dragon as well. Again, we're not playing Omega. If you guys chose to play the Omega build, you just literally switch the Nat Beast up for an Omega because you wouldn't play Keystone anyways. So that's literally all you want to do. So if you guys see this extra deck and decide that you would rather play the Omega over the Nat Beast, then obviously just cut the Nat Beast, play Omega 1 for 1, and that's perfectly fine, right? But Boral Savage and Nat Beast, a lot of time if you guys end on these two together, it's insanely powerful because a lot of the time your opponent is going to be forced to use something like an Imperm on your Naturia Beast. And if you have like something like a Savage and you know they need their spell cards, you can just Savage negate the Imperm, and then they're kind of in a really bad spot, right? Then you're playing one Apollo, one Boral Sword, one Nightmare Unicorn. I like Boral Sword. You guys can play Access Code instead. I actually just personally really like Boral Sword more than Access Code in this deck, just because a lot of the time you're not making the Link monsters in this deck. Either one works, to be honest with you. They're both perfectly fine. One IP. This is a card that people do not play in this deck, and I've been playing it, and this card is insanely powerful. Like, it's so strong. It makes bad hands, or I guess not bad hands per se, but it also makes hands where your opponent just has like 3 hand traps on you. You can just end on an IP with like a Dolka or a Logia under it, and it becomes so powerful low-key, because then you can have the Dolka and or the Logia negate. Dolka would be 2 negates, and then you have the Unicorn, which is a 3rd disruption. So that's why I really like the IP. Then we're playing one Link Karibo and one Secure Gardener, of course, for the Archosaur. You obviously are going to play these two. Also, I should mention not playing the Nightmare Griffin build. That's another thing that I should mention actually with the main deck, is you guys could play just Imperial Order in the main deck and then play the Nightmare Griffin build, because that way it kind of searches into it. There's another different build for Dino. I just don't like that build because it's way too fragile in my opinion. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that because I'm sure someone's going to ask in the comments. But then yeah, the one Pentastag, of course, I really like this card. It helps you OTK a lot better, especially when you're going turns 2. People forget that you're still playing Dino, even though you're playing like a combo version of Dino. People forget that a lot of times you can just make a simple Pentastag plus Conductor under it and just go for OTK that way. So that's why I really like still playing this card. One Scrap Wyvern, of course, for your combo. And then I'm just playing one Logia, one Dolka. You just go into these depending on the matchup. Then I just go, generic rank 4s. We go Abyss Dweller, Tornado Dragon, and one really important one is Gallant Granite. Now, you don't go into this every time, but when you go into Nat Beast, you do want to go into this here and there, because this card is actually what searches you your Keystone. So with this, you search the Keystone, you special summon the Keystone, make Nat Beast with that and a Scrap Raptor, and then with this, Scrap Golem and Scrap Wyvern, which is 4 materials, you go into Apollo. So that's just one of those things where I mean, like, Gallant Granite is really, really good in this deck. It's really powerful in this deck. If you already open this Keystone, what I found really nice about this combo is you don't need to go into the Granite, then you just go into a Dolka instead, or a Logia, and it makes the board even stronger. Yeah, that's why I just really like this card. It helps you combo a little bit further.
So that is it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to like the video and subscribe to both Tally and you guys. If you really want to, could check out my channel. But thank you, Tally, for having me on. It's a real honor. Hopefully we could collab like this in the future again. If you guys have any like questions, or you guys want to know how to replace certain stuff, if you want to replace it, how to, you know, different ideas, shoot them down in the comments. I love to hear what everyone has to say and what everyone thinks. So yeah, that's really all I gotta say though, for real. Thank you guys all for being here. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Tally, for having me on. And with that, Spanko signing out. Peace.
Get up, we want you to get on your feet.
Guys, that is the video. As always, thank you first of all to Spanko, and thank you to you for watching. If you like the video, give it a like. If you love it, give it a share and tell everyone you know about Team Tally today. And if you haven't joined Team Tally but you've made it this far, then make sure to subscribe. As always, you have been amazing. I have been Tally. I'll catch you all later. Bye.